Hello and welcome to Hysteria. I'm Erin Ryan.
And I'm Alyssa Mastromonaco.
Alyssa, do you recall a few weeks back when we were discussing information security around period tracking apps?
Yes, of course.
Okay, so there's been a lot done about this. I think Vice did some stuff. A lot of different places publish things that are like, yeah, stop putting your period info into your phone.
Right.
But I have a solution if you want to track your period, but keep that information in a place where no Republican would ever look. Write that on a piece of paper. Put that shit in a science book.
Ah, very good. Very good.
Or start a period tracking app called Science Book and have it be like 3 pages of science information, and then they won't get past that. News. Is it good?
News.
It's
Isn't it? It's kind of
It's
okay.
I mean, yes.
We got some people trying to solve some bad problems.
We got some people. Yes. Okay. So in Michigan, quickly becoming my favorite Midwestern state. Michigan and Minnesota, I think, are the two front runners. I'm sorry.
I think you're right. Hot Dish and Motown.
I mean, like Chicago is great. Some of the rest of Illinois, not the great. I mean, that's the thing. The Midwest has a lot of great people, but like I'm talking about the way that the states are run. Right.
Yeah.
So Michigan Governor Whitmer ordered state agencies last week not to punish anyone getting or helping someone get an abortion or other reproductive health care. And she told agencies to protect, increase, and raise awareness of abortion services and their availability. So that's actually pretty good. That means that Michigan is openly being like, come here, get your abortion care that you need, and we're not going to punish you for it, we're not going to do other states' bidding either.
Mm-hmm. And I think too, like the great thing about what Big Gretchen Michigan is doing is she's giving other like-minded governors ideas. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So like some of these state legislators in Massachusetts are actually working on a bill that would protect against long arm laws. So, you know how we've read so much of what's happening that some of these states want to criminalize anybody.
Stretch Armstrong? Long Armstrong? Yeah. Okay. Long arm laws, meaning other states saying anybody who goes to another place to get an abortion is in trouble here.
Is in trouble. And they're trying to figure out how can we protect those people if they come here? How can we protect them from those laws? And like, again, great brainstorming. I am happy to see people actively working on some creative stuff that isn't just posting an Instagram tile that says vote.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Connecticut is doing great stuff with that too. Connecticut has a really innovative law that aims to prevent other states from being able to prosecute anybody for going to Connecticut.
That's right.
In order to obtain abortion care. And I think that is great. And also I think what's the opposite of a long arm law? Like a short arm law, like a T-Rex?
T-Rex arms.
Law. Right. So just imagine the state of Texas as like America's T-Rex.
T-Rex.
trying to swipe at you, but they can't get you thanks to people like Gretchen Whitmer and officials in Massachusetts and Connecticut and a couple other places. Here's another thing. Here's a man who's doing a cool thing. A man? Yeah, a man.
Okay.
A man who's doing a cool thing. An attorney named Steve Descano of Virginia says that no matter what the law in his own state says, in Virginia, he won't prosecute anybody for having an abortion or for being suspected of inducing an abortion. So he's basically like, I'm not gonna do shit. And here's the thing about this. I'm gonna read a little segment from the op-ed first and then get into. Almost 2.5 years ago, I took my oath of office as a prosecutor and swore to protect my community from those who broke the law. The real threat I now realize may stem from those who write the law. So Virginia currently has a governor, Glenn Youngkin, who is, quote, staunchly and unabashedly against abortion and committed to, quote, going on offense against abortion rights in the legislature. And Descano has received death threats, and he's still like, fuck you. Not gonna do it. I mean, he doesn't say fuck you, but it's implied.
What he is saying is, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah. And that's something that I think if I were somebody who cared about the integrity of the federal judiciary would really concern me, because this is a person writing in the newspaper with the biggest newspaper in the US, in the New York
Right.
Times, being like, I am openly just not going
gonna
to do it. I'm not going to enforce these laws. The only thing that the Supreme Court has is people being like, okay, we're going to follow the law that as you interpret it. But if everybody just is like, no, I'm not doing that.
I mean, and why not, Erin? We had a president for 4 years who was like, I'm not going to do it. I don't care what the law is. I'm not going to do it. So, I mean, honestly, let's do it for a good cause.
Let's just be like, nope, sorry, can't make me. Let us regress to teenage anti-authoritarianism for a good cause. Let us dust off our CD cases that contain the Rage Against the Machine.
I was just going to say Rage Against the Machine.
Do you know that Zach from Rage Against the Machine attends spin classes in a gym where I also used to go?
Shut up.
Yeah, he does. And one time one of the spin instructors played a Rage song during class, and he was amused. I learned that from another instructor.
You know what? That's a tasty little morsel.
Yeah. Los Angeles is weird.
That's
it's
the
very,
kind of
very
celebrity
weird.
goss I'm here for.
Yep, he loves to ride a bike that doesn't go anywhere. But old Rage albums, they will get you fired up. So
it's true.
Let's dust them off and start to put on our combat boots and kick shit around. We haven't really talked about a lot of international stories because we've been so focused on the dumpster fire of America, but we did want to bring focus to kind of what's going on with reproductive rights around the world. The U.S. is one of a few quote unquote Western or developed countries that is actively backpedaling on reproductive rights. But there are other countries where things have never been as good as they are here, and they continue to not be very good. Japan, for example, I'm ashamed to admit I did not know how bad.
I did not either.
I did not know how bad reproductive health care access was in Japan, but it is really, really bleak. So Japan has approved the abortion pill, but requiring a partner's consent in order to use it, which is a big time yikes. Partner consent laws. That's crazy.
Like what? I mean, what are they doing? Like, what is the point?
Yeah, I feel like look, I think that if you're in a good relationship with the person who impregnated you, whether or not to have an abortion should be a discussion, but the decision is the pregnant person.
Right.
It's your body.
That's it.
That's it. This is 3 decades after the abortion pill was first available to women in the UK. So this is how far behind other countries Japan is. Right now, before the abortion pill was legalized, consent was already required for surgical abortions with very few exceptions. So it's one of only 11 countries that require third-party consent for abortions. It's
not a list I'd want to be on. Japan.
Not a list I would want to be on at all. And it's good to see progress being made forward at all. But I hope that the women of Japan are able to not have their husbands or partners sign permission slips in order for them to control what happens inside their bodies, because it seems bad. I would also say, it's interesting. A lot of people who want to outlaw abortion here in the States are also very, very concerned about the birth rate, as though outlawing abortions will somehow help the birth rate. Japan has one of the lowest birth rates in the entire industrialized world.
That is so true.
And draconian abortion laws have not goosed the birth rate. I feel like they've just made people be like, you know what, having sex, not worth it.
Totally. Be like, do I want to have to get this guy's consent to do anything? No.
I mean, indeed. There are some other stories around the world. We haven't really talked about South Korea. South Korea has an expressly anti-feminist president. If we have any listeners in South Korea, we would love to hear from you on this before we get into it as a topic. There's a couple other things happening. Women in Ukraine, people who can get pregnant in Ukraine, are also facing like a massive crisis. So, as we're dealing with our own shit here in the US, I think it's important to remember that there are people all over the world, and none of us are equal until all of us are equal.
I agree with that.
Do we have any toast or roast this week? Anything that you're excited about?
I'm kind of roast and toast free.
I'm all roasted out, you know? The NRA convention is just really gross. But I do want to, you know what? I have a quick toast.
What's your toast?
Lauren Windsor.
Who's Lauren Windsor?
Lauren Windsor is that woman who is always getting conservatives to say crazy shit on camera by pretending that she agrees with them.
Yes.
All of your legal reasoning is totally solid.
Yeah, there's no question. But
I mean, like, you know, just supporter to supporter, like, why do you think that Mike Pence didn't do it?
well, because Mike Pence is an establishment guy at the end of the day.
She recently was able to get into the NRA convention without going through any security, and nobody really stopped her. And she was just, you know, she's just a pretty white woman.
I saw this. And then didn't the Secret Service come after her?
The Secret Service now wanted to have a chat with her. And
Yeah.
I think that she tweeted about as much. I think Lauren Windsor is, she's got, look, I don't want to be an essentialist here, but she's got bigger metaphorical balls, ovaries, if you will, than almost any journalist working today. I think that she's like super brave, doing really important stuff. And every time she comes out with something new, I'm like, yes, Lauren. So toast to Lauren Windsor this week. I hope your chat went okay.
Yeah, seriously.
Let us know if you ever want to chat with us. I'm sure it'll be nicer. We'll be nicer to you than the Secret Service. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we are talking to the president of the NEA. And welcome back. Our guest today is the president of the National Education Association, which represents 3 million educators and school personnel, nearly 80% of them women. Before she led one of the nation's largest labor unions, she had 31 years of classroom experience as a middle school science teacher. Welcome, Becky Pringle.
It's good to be with you, Erin.
Wish you were here under different circumstances. President Pringle, the Uvalde shooting was the 27th school shooting this year and the deadliest school shooting in Texas history. Some pro-gun politicians have suggested that the solution here is to give teachers guns. What's your response to talk of arming teachers?
Oh, my goodness. You know, Erin, I need to start by letting you know I went down to Texas, to Houston, actually, and rallied with activists, teacher and student survivors from Parkland, and teacher survivors from Sandy Hook. And as we gathered together before the rally, we were rallying outside the NRA headquarters, demanding that they and other gun lobbyists stop blocking attempts to get the kind of gun laws that we need in this country. Can I just say that with tears in their eyes, they said no more. They said no more. And we as students, we as educators aren't going to stop until we pass the common sense gun laws that we've been crying for, literally and figuratively, since Columbine, honestly, right? And talking about arming teachers. Now let's just think about that. I teach middle school. I want everyone to think about what that would look like. I teach middle school. I have a gun safely locked away somewhere, and someone with an assault weapon bursts into the school, and I have time to do what? Or it's a student in the school, and I'm going to make that split decision to shoot and perhaps kill a student. I want people to think about what they're asking educators to do when we have asked them to do everything, stand in every gap for our students, especially after COVID. And now we're saying, and by the way, let's arm you because you should be responsible for protecting students and other educators against gun violence. That's not okay, Erin. And it's not only not okay. We know that's not what we need. It's not what's going to work. Gun laws, that's what we need. Stricter requirements, that's what we need. We are the only country in this world with this kind of gun violence epidemic. What's the difference? Our laws. That's what's different.
Yeah, Becky, you bring up an interesting point about the shifting responsibility, because I feel like it's positioned by these pro-gun politicians as like, we're going to save students, but I don't think that it's about saving anybody. It's just about washing their hands of any responsibility by being like, it's the teacher's fault for not protecting their classroom from this threat of violence. So, it shouldn't be teachers' individual responsibilities. Like, let's get into what the federal and state governments need to do to structurally make it take the responsibility they should be taking to control guns. Like, what are some concrete actions?
So first of all, who needs an assault weapon? Who? Nobody needs that. Our Constitution wasn't designed to protect people's right to have assault weapons. So no, and we need to ban them. Secondly, we've known for decades that we needed to have stricter background checks. We already know that. We also know that too many of our students have access to guns. And so Ethan's Law is one of the pieces of legislation that we are supporting, which is the safe storage of firearms. And then, of course, we know that the red flag laws that have been proposed across the country that would allow us to have a database of individuals that should not have guns ever. That's what we need to protect our students. And we call them common sense gun laws because doesn't it sound like common sense to you, Erin? It sounds like common sense to me. And by the way, 90% of Americans agree with that. What do 90% of Americans agree on? Nothing. But they agree on this. So what's Congress waiting for? Why aren't they doing something? 90%.
Becky, what are you hearing from your membership? Do they feel safe going back to their classrooms in the fall? What are their biggest concerns?
They didn't feel safe going back the next day. And certainly as we end the school year at this moment, the thought of coming back with nothing having happened is very scary for them. And it should be. We heard story after story, and this is no exception. That didn't just happen here in Uvalde. But we hear it every time a shooting happens in our schools, where teachers or other educators are putting themselves in harm's way to protect their kids. And are shot. And so they know that. They know that of course, that's what they do. It's what they do. And so for them to be asked to come back to school and nothing has changed, it's not okay. And so you're seeing so much activism, and we were active the last time. But I will tell you, ladies, it does feel different this time. When I looked in their eyes and saw the determination, they're rising up all over this country. We are making sure that they are connected into all of the activities with our partners, Everytown and March for Our Lives, Moms Against Guns, all of those, Moms Demand, excuse me. All of those organizations, we are working together in collaboration with each other. We're asking folks to text now to 48744 if you want to be plugged into actions near you. We want everyone to take action, and we want them to continue to do that. So they're you know what? Honestly, they're frightened, and who wouldn't be? But they understand the power they have, and they are not giving up. They are not giving in. They are going to stand up for their students, and they are going to continue to lift their voices until they are heard.
Becky, this hits me pretty hard personally. I'm from a teacher family. My mom was a high school English teacher. She's an administrator now. My sister is a teacher. My uncle's a teacher. A lot of teachers in my family. So I've always kind of had a front row seat to the struggles that they face and the kind of buildup of systemic issues that they face. I would love to hear your perspective of other issues that teachers nationwide are struggling with in this kind of like not quite post-COVID world.
Not quite post-COVID. That's a good way of putting it. I've been struggling for the right words.
There should be like an abbreviation or something. NPCC.
Right.
NPP.
Yeah.
Anyway, NQ. I can't. It's early.
Work on that, Erin, because
I will. I'll workshop it and I'll bring it back and we can meet after class,
Okay.
Miss Pringle.
Okay. Because we're not done yet, right? It's still impacting us in ways that push us and force us to change how we do school and how we gather together, and whether it's in our community, in our churches, for family reunions, all of it, right? And our students are at the center of all of that. It's been 2 years, and we don't talk enough about the loss, literally the loss, particularly for our Black and Brown and Indigenous communities, where just disproportionately COVID ravaged their communities. And not just COVID, we know that. I mean, all of the crises it spawned, the economic crisis, the housing, the healthcare, all of that impacted those communities that have been marginalized forever. And we had students whose caretakers, I mean, just the percentage that lost caretakers due to COVID, the loss is real and it's palpable. On top of that, they didn't go to graduation, or they didn't go to prom, or they started at a college across the country that they never saw, and it didn't quite fit. They're just things, that they go through in their lives, our students, that they didn't experience over these 2 years. And who was standing in those gaps? Our teachers, and all of our educators, our bus drivers, food service workers, everyone, right? And then we have all of this other crazy stuff happening, like banning books. Are you kidding me? Seriously? We're banning books? That's what we're spending our energy on. Talking about arming teachers with guns instead of arming them with books, instead of banning them. Not being allowed to teach about Ruby Bridges. Are you real? It's like you can't make this up. But where does it fall? It falls to teachers, who some governors, like the governor in Virginia, where I'm from, asking people to videotape teachers and send it into a hotline. I can tell you what we did with that hotline. We flooded it with "We love our teachers," and we trust them as the professionals they are. Yeah, they had to shut that down. Anyway.
Wait, how long did that take?
Within a week we were flooding it.
I was going to say, don't challenge a teacher with a phone tree, because they will dominate that.
But it doesn't change that pressure, the fear. I mean, we put up a website for them just in case they were being attacked or challenged, or their job was being threatened, because they were teaching the true history of this country, because we're going to defend them every day, all day in doing that. I mean, the curriculum they're teaching is based on the curriculum that was adopted by their state. And so for them to be threatened with their job, or be threatened by being yelled in their face, or their kids being threatened with violence, is anyone surprised we have an educator shortage in this country? Is anyone surprised by that? It's chronic, and it's been for decades. You know that, Erin, because it's living with educators. But these last 2 years with the pandemic, and then educators being blamed for shutting down the schools, and then blamed for, making history too scary for students, and then being blamed for students getting shot in their classrooms. It's too much. It's too much. And it's not okay. We are there to do the jobs we love. And we're going to do that for our students every day, give them what they need and deserve. But let me tell you, we can't do this by ourselves. Our students need more from us, the adults in this system, and we're going to demand that they get it.
Mm-hmm. So let's end on a silver linings note, if we can. What are some hopeful signs that you've seen, apart from the just built-in tenacity of teachers? What are some hopeful signs that you've seen that we could pull ourselves out of this and move toward something better?
Oh, built-in tenacity. That's right. Resilience and always hope. Educators can't do their jobs without having that hope, that belief in the plausibility of the possible. They start every day that way. And even with the tragedies that come into their schools and classrooms, what their students are suffering with, they will continue to do that. I've been traveling across the country on what I titled my Joy, Justice, and Excellence Tour.
Mm.
And I titled it that way because wherever two or more educators are gathered together and they talk about their students, there will be joy. Even through the tears, even through the masks, I could see them smiling, talking about being together with their students again and all of the incredible things they're doing. And so what gives me hope is that they are fighting continuously fighting for racial and social justice because they understand that's the core of education justice. They are fighting and winning massive amounts of money. California, billions of dollars in establishing more community schools because we know it takes the whole community to surround the students with that. And our educators are lifting their voices in ways they never have before. I was in North Carolina to see a teacher cadet program. They're growing their own teachers, which is fabulous, can I say? And one of the things one of the teachers said to me was, I said, in this moment where so many teachers are saying they're leaving the profession, why would you think that this would work, and why were the students going into it? And out of defiance, they just said, oh no, they're not going to stop me from going into the career I love. And that's what I'm going to do because my students need me to do this for them now. So they give me so much hope and so much joy. And I know they will continue this fight so that our students can be the leaders of a just society.
Becky Pringle, thank you so much for joining us and for your words and your insight. And hopefully next time you join us, it'll be under better circumstances with some better news. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Erin.